Hello and welcome to a brand spanking new Crafty Simulations video. We are at the home of BFR Aviation in General Aviation Aircraft. Try saying that fast. Right, I normally don't feature whirlybirds, whopper choppers, helicopters. I don't feature them. This is not because they are no good. This is not because I do not like helicopters. It is because I believe, quite honestly, helicopters are witchcraft. I know how an aircraft works. I know mostly when it goes wrong, it's my fault. And how mostly important to actually fix said problem. But a helicopter is just completely and utterly unfathomable for me to understand. So, like I say, I don't think I've featured too many in my videos, but I have featured the bigger brother of this aircraft, or helicopter even. I featured the R44, and this is my Cowansim, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. Don't fly it as much as I probably ought to, but I did like it. This is the R22, and as you may work out, the mathematically brilliantly gifted of you, that the R22 is just a smaller version of the R44. And like I say, I got this into my sim, and I wasn't really expecting it to get under the skin too much, basically because, like I said, I don't do helicopters. I haven't stopped flying this thing for the best part of a week. Every time I'm on the flight sim, whether I've got work to do regarding future content, and I'm trying to get aircraft ready for videos, or whether I'm trying to work out a flight or ideas, or just trying to, you know, brainstorm some stuff for future content, I usually go back to this just to have some fun. Now, by no means am I an awesome pilot at this thing, but it keeps me coming back. So it's doing something right. So what we're going to do a little review video of this particular whopper chopper. So let's go first of all with what Cowansim say themselves. So the features of this particular helicopter is a bindable throttle. Bindable throttles. Let's just jump in and just talk about this briefly. Jump into the cockpit, and this is where I get the controls all wrong, but basically this is your throttle. It's a twist grip throttle. Now, some helicopters in the flight simulators don't have this as a bindable axis, and this is a bit of a deal breaker for me. If you don't have a bindable axis for this, and it's either on or off, or you have to use keys on your keyboard, it doesn't feel right. Now, by no means do I have helicopter controls here. I have a joystick and a throttle and a rudder pedals. Helicopters, now I have cyclic, and I've forgotten all the rest of the stuff. Rudder pedals are called something else. But anyway, throttle. Talk about throttle. The throttle on this is actually bindable. I've actually bound it to one of my throttles, because I can split my throttles on my Thrustmaster throttle set, and I bound it to one of the axes. Brilliant. Makes it more realistic. So they've done this, Cowansim have done this with their previous helicopters, and it makes it so much better. All default bindings work. A lot of the stuff a lot of the controls in this helicopter were actually bound already. I just set up a few personal things, how I like them. I've created a custom throttle profile for the R22. That's how much I'm loving this helicopter. I'm always going back to it. So I've actually created a throttle profile. A detailed manual. I am a man. I do not read said manual. That being said, I have actually looked at it. I looked at some of the controls, some of the tweaks, and some of the things that Cowansim put in to make my experience a lot better. And I've got to say, the manual was very good. A detailed paint kit. I wasn't artistic when I was a kid at school, and I'm sure as heck not artistic now. But it's great that they've come up with a paint kit. So there's going to be a million of these repaints coming out from this helicopter very, very soon. Persistence saves weight and balance, and persistence saves options for next flight. So if you quickly just land this helicopter and you don't switch one of the buttons off, guess what? That button's going to be on that particular helicopter the next time you start it up. Tested and zeroed in by real pilots. This can sometimes be a bit of a double-edged sword, because they can make it far too realistic for us people who are not trained on how particular things work. But I have heard good things, and this helicopter is available to a lot of people all over the world. and it's used for training purposes. I think it's the #1 most used training helicopter for first flights, and it really does show this thing is very, very realistic. Realistic startup procedure, I will go into that obviously when we get going. Realistic systems, realistic working breakers. We do have circuit breakers in this helicopter and they work. Again, I'm not going to press around with them, but it's nice they're there. Animated passenger. Who would be silly enough to sit in the other seat of this thing next to me? I mean, really, it's not advisable. What else we got here? An in-cockpit 3D checklist. Okay, so we do have a checklist. Again, I'll show you that when we get in the cockpit. 3 panel variants, a G530, a GTN, and an analog. So, again, we can play around with some of the avionics in this thing, which the bigger brother of this helicopter did as well. We have PMS GTN 650/750 integration with TDS GTN XI 650 and 750 integrations. They're the payware versions of the GTN 750 and 650 navigational systems. Again, if you've got them on your sim, this helicopter will take into account them. Solo controls options, so you can set this up to be a solo control helicopter. Individually removable doors. Believe it or not, you can, with a clip point, remove said doors. Not in the UK, it's far too cold. Where are we? Working heater. Again, we're in the UK, I may need that. Working heater, it's not the real thing, we don't feel the heat. I'm on a computer, I'm sat in a room, I'm not sat in a helicopter. Okay, vibration animations. Cool. Again, bits and pieces start to vibrate. So if we can just see here, we've got one of the compasses up here, standby compasses, and it vibrates and shakes. And I've watched real R22 videos, and it's exactly the same. It shakes and vibrates in there. So again, it has a bit more realism. 22 paint jobs. Okay, we have paint jobs coming out the yazoo for this thing. All of them are all different, all very good. Currently, we are flying the UK variant. There's, I believe, four or five UK variants. So starting with the G prefix, and we do have other countries. I'm not going to go into all the countries, but needless to say, all the main countries are covered. Dynamic weight options. Okay, so we can change the weight around with it. I can have a Wizzy. Fully dynamic sound pack. Now this is the reason, one of the reasons I should say, why I keep coming back to these Cowansim helicopters. They are awesome. Sounds fantastic. Confirmed fully VR ready. Again, something I can't really test, but, you know, if you've got a VR set and it works on your computer, again, this is going to be fully set up to run with your VR systems. It doesn't say which VR headsets, but it is fully VR ready. Realistic flight dynamics. This thing goes around like a little flea. It bounces around all over the place. You really got to concentrate on this thing. That engine's quite powerful for quite a light frame. Custom 3D instruments. Okay, so we do have custom instruments which are fairly 3D looking. Obviously the panels here pop out a little bit, buttons, switches, all that kind of stuff. We'll go into, obviously, the cockpit in a memento. What else we've got here? Detailed night lighting. I can confirm the lighting looks very detailed during the night. Accurate 3D modelling. I think we can say this thing's detailed. I mean, even if you look at the engine, this is a petrol engine helicopter, and, you know, I mean, you can follow the piping and everything. It looks super, super realistic. So, yes, I'm going to go with that. And then 4K PBR textures. Okay, so that just basically means your textures look very, very realistic, and they do. Again, like I say, we've got a boatload of textures from all over the world, and they look absolutely fantastic. This is something Cowansim do quite well. I've got a little bit of a flicker going on there, but I think that's more the interaction with the building, maybe. I don't know. No, that's weird. Maybe something to do with my cloud textures and just popping it every now and again. Yeah, possibly. Maybe that's a slight issue, I don't know. But again, it's not really that noticeable, and quite frankly, I can forgive Cowansim for that, because Cowansim make awesome whopper choppers. So, let's jump inside and jump into the cockpit. So, welcome to the cockpit of the R22. As you can imagine, this is a basic helicopter, and therefore it is a basic setup with regards to controls, dials, and all that sort of stuff. So, let's start at the top. We have warning lights, obviously. for all the basic things that you will possibly have wrong. Dials wise, we do have a 6-pack here, so we have the vertical speed, artificial horizon, speed, engine T's and P's basically, percentages, an altimeter, and a manifold pressure. Now, something you won't get in most helicopters is a manifold pressure, because they don't run a piston engine, but this one does have a piston engine, so you do have a manifold. Moving on to the central pedestal, we have, what do we have here? Carb temperature, a clock, that's useful. Your T's and P's one here, so we've got ampage, what we're going to call it, oil pressures, fuel, for left and right. Is it fuel? Left and right? No, it isn't. We've got 2 tanks. We've got an auxiliary tank and a 19.2 US gallon tank. That's probably the main tank, I'd imagine. We have oil temperature and cylinder head temperature. Again, very important in Flight Simulator. We have a light panel switch, which is a dialable switch. So you can click around to that to your heart's content. Very realistic. Nav lights and strobe lights. And alternator even, I was going to say it's something else, but it's an alternator and a master power switch, or master battery switch, and a mags switch. That's right, I can't get my words out properly again. It's a piston helicopter, so think of this as a piston aircraft. You have mags to deal with. Moving down, we'll talk about that in a minute. Got air temperature, not important. We have the basic, what is this? Well, that's obviously your transponder. I have no idea what that is. I don't click on it. It's a Garmin thing, so it's probably a basic navigational doohickey. Again, I don't pay attention too much to this. We have your mixture. Again, remember, piston helicopter, so we do have a mixture, and this is workable. Got your ELT, got your standard controls here. Nice sounds. Obviously, like I said, we've got the collective and throttle sat there. If you click just here, we have a little click spot, and it lowers the seats. On this side, you have, just move, get the right button. Yeah, there we go. We've got your cabin heat. Remember, we've got realistic cabin heat in this thing. We have a heater blower, and we have a primer. On this side is your clickable fuses. So again, they're buried beneath the passengers, passengers derriere. So get this back up again. Just click on the line just here, and it covers it back up again. So if we move to the rear of the helicopter, we have basic controls here. We have the rotor brake, and we have a map light. And are these clickable? No, they're not. I suppose technically that would be the passenger's set anyway, so we're the pilot, we'd be having them on. So some of these are clickable, you can click them and they disappear. It doesn't change anything, but it's nice that they're there. Doors. We have doors with sounds. I always like doors with sounds. And if you notice, if you just click on this again, this will actually move to lock into position. So we'll just click there. It actually moves. So I like this. This adds a realism. You want to remove said door? Click there. You want it back again? Click there. So again, we have clickable doors. Checklist is down here, so if we click on the, would you believe it, the checklist, it pops it up and slaps it straight into your face. So if I assume the normal position, the preset default position, you can safely say you can see that checklist. And it goes all the way down from, what is it? Pre-start all the way down to engine shutdown. You can't quite read pretty much that, but it's there. It's good. It's a simple enough helicopter. So, I'm trying to make this all into one video. So what we're going to do, where are we today? Well, we're not at Waddington, obviously. I didn't think this helicopter would warrant being at Waddington. Just taking a nice drink of coffee. What we're going to do, we are at Wickenby. This is an airfield in Lincolnshire, and I think it will suit us for our little needs. What we are going to do is we're going to see just how bad I am at flying this thing. We're going to stay in the local area. I'm going to give you a brief little flight in the R22. Now, like I said, I can't stop flying this thing. I really can't. Every day I've been on this, I've completed a flight on it. Flying it? Yeah, I'm alright at it. Hovering in it? Yeah, again, I'm not too bad. Hovering close to the ground? Yeah, that's when the pressure starts. And landing? Well, the landings have been interesting, let's just put it that way. I probably would be sending this aircraft, or helicopter even, to the mechanics with the landings that I'm doing. But we've got a lot of space, and that's what I like about this scenery. We have 4 runways, cross runways, but out in front here is a big, massive field. And this is where I've been trying to practice my general handling of this helicopter. So that is what we are going to do. So if I just start working out where my TrackIR is, we'll center that. Actually, no, we don't. We'll get the TrackIR ready, but I won't turn it on just yet. Because the way my TrackIR is set up, I do suffer with trying to reach that thing. So let's get this thing. Oh yeah, by the way, just nearly gone past this. These 2 little switches here. These are your GTN options. So if you click this down, we change and add this doohickey. And if we click again, we had this doohickey, which is the 530? Yeah, 530. I don't particularly like the 530. So if you're like me and you do have the real GTN options, we can switch this over to the first of the GTNs, and then we switched over to the second one, which obviously I do not have the GTN XI version, and they work. So if you want to do some navigational flying, and you have a GTN 750, this helicopter comes with it, but we're staying in the local area, so we don't need any of that. Right, so let's butcher this startup. So, let's have the batteries on. And as you can see, I had the lights on. Right, so we're going to have... nav lights coming on. Bottle is closed. That was the governor coming up. Obviously, I don't have any power to get to this thing. Right, so we are going to prime said engine, because it's a piston powered. So we click that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Usually 5 is the magic number. Lift them back up again. Lower the mixture, put the lock over. This is not a how-to on starting this thing. I'm not going to pay attention to the checklist. Mags or come through to both. So what we're going to do, we are going to engage the engine, but not engage the rotor. The rotor will start to spin. But what we've got at the moment, we have a clutch, and at the moment it's disengaged. So when I press the clutch button, which I have mapped to my throttle pad here, it will basically engage said clutch and start spinning up the whirly thing on top, the big fan. So that's the idea. So I have to keep an eye on my T's and P's, I have to keep an eye on this. These both needles will eventually settle into the green, they should match each other. For percentages, so I'm just running through on the top of my head because I'm probably going to forget something. Yep, that's all shut, that's ready. Right, let's go. Are we clear on the left? Well, let's turn on the TrackIR. That's better. Centralise that, so clear on the left, clear on the right. Because we're kind, and I'm not... Can I reach that? Come on, let me reach it, pull it back. Clear prop! Is it clear prop or clear rotor? I suppose technically it's just clear. So let's get the engine started. Rotor has just started spinning but not engaged. So now we'll engage the clutch. Add a bit of throttle. Try again. I think I missed something there, but we got it started eventually. Needles are coming up. Oil pressure's in the green. Oil temp's in the green, cylinder head's still low, fuel is good, ampage is good. Clutch lighter's gone out. Alternator is on. Strobe lights are now on. And we'll start feeding in the throttle. Always slowly increase the throttle. And this is a twist throttle, remember? Got the governor engaged. Like I say, probably not the most accurate way of starting a thing, but we are there. I'm just going to check the volumes. Let's turn that down a little bit. Right, so there we are. Whirly-birdie started up, and as you can see, we have a vibrating compass, vibrating controls. I like that, it adds realism. So, like I say, we are going to stay in the local area. Get my feet on the pedals. So, now comes the fun part. Always keeping an eye on obstacles, so we're going to move out to the front here. Little bumps in the ground. So this is the thing about helicopters, you never get a chance to relax. Always putting control inputs in. So let's head out over towards the field and do our little flight. Once you get going, get a bit of altitude, they're not bad. Still requires quite a bit of input. And this is what this helicopter is built for. Like the PA-38 by Just Flight, a training aircraft, the R22 here is a training helicopter. So if you're interested in learning how helicopters fly, I honestly don't believe there is a helicopter that is better suited than the R22. Nice bit of blade slap. Like I say, the sounds in this helicopter, it sounds exactly like the real thing. Exactly, 100%. Cowansim really do their work. So what we're going to do now, we're going to start thinking about trying to land. Always the trickier part in any helicopter. So we'll start our descent over the old runway. And now he's on camera. This is when the landing is going to be the fun. This is when the landing is going to be the fun part. Not a bad landing, if I do say so myself. So, clutch disengaged, strobe lights are off. Mag set to off. We'll let the rotor slow itself. Don't touch the throttle. So we do have the rotor brake, if I can just about reach it. There we go. So, rotor's just about stopped. Lights coming off. And so, there we are. Cowansim R22. Turn the TrackIR off. There we go. Where does this helicopter fit in? Well, it fits in rather well with general aviation. This is, like I said, one of the #1 helicopters real helicopter pilots learn to fly in and take their first flights in. If you go to a training flight area, chances are you'll see an R22 somewhere down the line. And that's what I like about this helicopter. It's simple, it's a good learner, for here in the flight sim. If you're interested in rotary aviation, then I would seriously check out the R22 and the R44, because if you like this, you will like the R44, no doubt about it. The sounds are beyond perfect for this helicopter. It sounds amazing. I took a flight in this helicopter, went around the local area a few nights ago, and I was just blown away. You feel like you're in the real thing, and that's something that's really good for Flight Simulator, because it makes you feel like you are really trying to fly this helicopter. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will be coming back to the R22 because I do want to learn myself how to fly a little bit better, well, a lot better I should say, and this helicopter I think is going to be the one to do that. So if you have any questions or comments, please bang them below. And I will see you in a future Microsoft Flight Simulator video very, very soon.